Hey, greetings and salutations, and welcome to another installment, episode number 5 of Toolsday Tuesday. Today, I want to talk to you about my Staplix electric stapler. Every once in a while, my wife and I will go down to the local Salvation Army store here, and this particular day, about a year ago now, I walked in there and I saw this masterpiece of industrial design. And when I saw the price tag on it of $3.99, there was no chance in Hades that I was going to leave that store without this in my possession. And when I took it home and I did a little bit of research, I found out that these things are worth about $300. They still make this, although it doesn't look like this. But look at this thing. It looks cool. It's got a kind of a wrinkled gray industrial finish with this awesome aluminum embossed Staplix logo. Has a really heavy-duty industrial switch on it. Toggle switch. You can set the depth from 0 all the way out to 3 inches. Let's set the depth at a ½ inch. Ooh, look at that. Impressive indeed. And it got me to thinking, how long have those been around? You know, I have no idea when this particular machine was made, but if I were to guess, serial number here, it's either 1975 or 1988. I would probably err on the side of 1975. Then the other thing that happened is that I was over here in my wife's home office in our bedroom, in our boudoir, looking for this device. Probably every home in America has at least one of these laying around, and my children love these, by the way, almost as much as they love the tape dispenser. As you can see, they like the tape dispenser a lot. So when they ran out of tape, they dug out the stapler, and if you go into their rooms, their little bedroom walls are perforated with little tiny holes spaced about a ½ inch apart because they staple their fine art to the walls of their bedroom. But I had to go down to my son's room to retrieve this, and when I found it, I was just thinking to myself, these are so common that we take them so much for granted. I wonder if anybody knows when they were invented. These are going to be the musings of a middle-aged man with way too much time on his hands. So I spent the last couple of weeks doing a little bit of research on staples and staplers, and this is what I found out. So apparently the King of France, King Louis XV, had commissioned the royal tool makers to fashion a royal stapler to bind royal documents and court documents with a forged gold jewel-encrusted staple in lieu of wax and ribbon seals, which were the custom of the day. And since most peasants of the 18th century were more than likely illiterate, the marketing for staplers didn't exist quite yet, and then of course a little thing called the French Revolution probably didn't help much. We've learned over the last couple hundred years that war kind of stimulates innovation, and after the Civil War, the Industrial Revolution was kind of kicking off. And then in 1866, a fellow by the name of George McGill received a patent for a bendable brass wire staple. And in 1867, about a year later, he got a patent for the press to insert the staple into paper. In 1879, he received a patent for the single-stroke staple press, and that's considered to be the first successful commercial stapler. About the same time, a fellow by the name of Henry R. Heil received a patent for a device to insert and cinch a staple in one step. Heil's devices, however, were primarily used for binding books and putting boxes together. So George McGill and Henry Heil, what their devices had in common is that you had to load one staple at a time. The stapler and the staples like we know it didn't exist quite yet, so it really didn't take off. So in 1895, the H. Hotchkiss Company began selling the #1 paper fastener. That used a strip of wired together staples and loaded from the rear, and the device required a heavy blow from the user to separate the staple from the wire strip to drive the staple into the paper. Some users even reverting to using a mallet to complete the task. Can you imagine that? in an office setting, somebody grabbing a mallet and smashing away at a freaking stapler. That had to be kind of funny. And at the dawn of the 20th century, several devices were patented that punched and folded pages to attach them together without a metal fastener, like the clipless stand machine sold into the 1920s. In the 1930s, Jack Linsky founded the Parrott Speed Fastener Corporation, later to become Swingline. And that changed everything when he developed the Skyline Speed Stapler No. 3, making the form factor we're familiar with today. 1941, and World War II saw the development of the stapler that's most common today, the four-way stapler. The user could staple paper to wood, use the stapler like pliers to staple bags, or to use in the primary or secondary positions. Most people are unaware of the secondary position, and some modern staplers, like the Staplex, omit the option altogether. There's a 35,000 foot view of the history of staplers. Of course, there are other types of staplers like surgical staples and staplers. An interesting fact, I didn't know this until just recently. The surgical stapler was invented in the early 1900s. The first recorded use of a surgical stapler was in 1908. In the 1950s, the Russians, of all people, refined that technology, and it really wasn't adopted in the United States as a mainstream method of suturing until the late 70s. Of course, staple guns, these were invented in the 20s. And then devices like staple hammers, these were developed in the 50s during the post-war housing boom. So there you have it. Everything you need to know about staplers. Every once in a while I'll take on one of these little exercises just to see how far down the rabbit hole it goes. And I encourage you to do that as well. But I'm going to warn you, you can get lost down there if you start taking little side shoots. When I was researching the King of France, Louis XV, and his son, Louis XVI, I found out a lot about Louis XV that I never knew about. His life is pretty interesting. Did you know that Louis XV became king at age 5? He didn't assume power until he was in his 20s, but he became king at age 5. And his reign ended in 1774 when his son, King Louis XVI, took over, and well, things didn't end very well for Louis XVI. In fact, he lost his head during the French Revolution. That's what happens when you go and do a little bit of research and your curiosity gets the best of you. Well, I hope you found this video entertaining and informative, and if you did, just massacre that like button. If you hated it and you think I suck, then just annihilate the dislike button. Either way is okay with me. And for the 3 that sub to this channel, just to down-click my videos, I love you guys too. So underneath this window is a big red button that says subscribe. Click that subscribe button if you don't mind, and then right next to it, click the bell icon and you'll be notified of future uploads. Because quite frankly, who would want to miss another episode of Toolsday Tuesday? You never know what next week's topic's going to be. By the way, if you have a suggestion for a Toolsday topic, down in the comment section. You got any questions or comments? Down in the comment section. That's where to put them. Down in the comment section. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this silly video. I really appreciate it. And until next time, you have fun, stay safe, shoot straight, pew pew pew, keep your powder dry, and have yourself a splendid day. Bye now.